What should I do? In the past week, I've had several meetings with families where I've gotten this question. And it's a natural, commonly asked thing about the college planning process. In particular, these families were asking me about what they should do with their money. They had some extra money set aside. They had a couple of kids each, oldest one being in high school, college bound, things like that. And I think the answer that I gave them was not really what they were looking for. And it's hard for me to answer about what should you do with money or whatever. So before answering the question, you really have to understand the purpose and the rest of your finances. But as it relates specifically to college financial aid, you have to think about how colleges, or consider how colleges view your finances first. And so one of the things I talked to them about was, well, if colleges think that you qualify for need-based aid, what you should do with that money is very, very different than if colleges don't think you qualify for need-based aid due to whatever factor. Because after all, if you qualify for need-based aid, you don't want to save the money or do something with the money so that you blow up your own chances for aid. Like you're literally taking money out of your own pocket. So that's no good. Whereas on the other hand, if you don't qualify for need-based aid, a lot of people think that's bad news, but honestly, that's good news in a way because you have maximum flexibility in terms of what to do with the money. You have to think about that first. And one family in particular, they mentioned that some of the money that they want to save for college, they might need for their day-to-day living expenses too. Well, that changes the game completely because obviously if you're going to need it potentially for day-to-day living expenses, then you would save very differently than if you didn't, whether you qualify for need-based financial aid or not. What I told the families was that, look, there's no right or wrong answer, right? There very rarely are situations that are black and white, right or wrong. However, there is good, better, best. And depending on their specific circumstances with regard to whether or not they qualify for need-based aid, what they need the money for, like day-to-day expenses, or if they could really just afford to set it aside, would determine the answer. Now, one of the families asked about 529 plans. And of course, there is nothing wrong with 529 plans. They can be very good vehicles to use to save for college. But think about that family that said to me, but they might need it for day-to-day expenses. Well, 529s would be terrible for that, okay? Because they're not qualified expenses, you would potentially pay taxes on earnings, and you would potentially pay an extra 10% penalty on withdrawals. So, yeah, could you use a 9 to save for day-to-day expenses? Yes, of course. Would it be the best vehicle to do it? Probably not. So both families, I think, ended the meeting kind of scratching their heads. I know, judging from the conversation, they were both looking for really quick answers, but I was there to tell them that it's far more nuanced and far more in-depth than simply providing a surface level answer. We'll see what they do. They may or may not come back to me. I have no idea, and that's okay if they don't. The answer is not always just shove the money into this account or that account or whatever. It really, truly does depend because there are no black and white scenarios, right? It really depends on all these different factors that can impact not only financial aid need eligibility, but also the family finances overall. So, hope this helps. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you next time.